EU vaccine humiliation as selfish Brussels will push everyone into poverty. The European Union's vaccine exports restrictions will push everyone into poverty, deliberately damaging developing countries, Boris Johnson's trade advisor has claimed. The European Commission has temporarily restricted exports of vaccines produced in the EU after a dispute with AstraZeneca about supplies to member states. The Commission claims that it is invested in the development process and is concerned about the way some manufacturers are handling orders. The move comes after AstraZeneca told Brussels it would not be able to supply as many jabs as expected to EU countries in the immediate term. The temporary restrictions ultimately mean that, for the next few months, in many cases, express authorization will need to be requested from the member state in which a vaccine is manufactured before it can be exported. On the basis of the principle of solidarity, various low- and middle-income countries, as well as certain favored partners in Europe, the Middle East and North Africa, are exempted from this regulation. This is because, in the words of the regulation, the single market for medical products is closely integrated beyond the boundaries of the Union, meaning supply chains for medicines spread beyond the border of the EU to its neighbours and trading partners too. However, the decision has been controversial on many fronts but particularly in relation to the UK, which is miles ahead on its vaccine rollout and now potentially faces difficulty getting more doses. In an exclusive interview with Express.co.uk, Prime Minister Boris Johnson's trade advisor has shed light on the move, arguing there will be dire consequences for developing nations. Mr Singham explained, "They are deliberately damaging Africa and other poor countries. It is a morally reprehensible thing to do, because when a major entity does something like this, it sets the tone for everybody else. What are other countries going to do when the EU has an export ban? They might have to do the same thing themselves." He noted the problem with export restrictions is that it damages the flow of trade, the global supply chains and the welfare of the economy. The trade expert added, "You hit the poorest of the poor twice. You deny them access to the product itself and then the resulting economic wealth disruption pushes everyone into poverty. And if you are poor to begin with, being pushed into poverty can often be the difference between life and death. So if you think about 40,000 people in Africa die each day from starvation. This sort of decision turns that number from 40,000 to 60,000. These are the real-world impacts from this kind of policy." Head of International at Barron's group Francesco Guerrera echoed Mr Singham's claims, accusing the bloc of going beyond pure vaccine nationalism by trying to take a step towards vaccine protectionism. He also cited a study by the International Chamber of Commerce, which claims that such selfishness could cost the world economy $9.2 trillion, £6.7 trillion. He wrote, "We already knew that vaccine nationalism, in which several countries tried to amass as many stocks as possible, would slow down the fight against this powerful and lethal enemy. But yesterday Brussels went much further, coining a new vaccine protectionism with unrealistic threats to block exports made in Europe. It is an unedifying spectacle that obscures the true miracle of this tragic period in our history, the international effort supported by governments, companies, and universities to find in record time an antidote to a pestilence that has turned everyone's lives upside down." Just yesterday, a study by the International Chamber of Commerce predicted that the selfishness of countries hoarding antivirus medicines could cost the world economy $9.2 trillion, £6.7 trillion. Mr Guerrero added in his piece for Italian newspaper La Repubblica, like economic protectionism, vaccine protectionism needs an enemy that can be attacked by politicians desperate for popular support. In this case, but not surprisingly, AstraZeneca.